Yo, you guys, this is Blacklist of the Abyss, and you're watching my review for Hunter x Hunter 2011, episode 126. Alright, and this fight, oh, by the way, I've mentioned it in like the last 3 videos, but I had a psych paper that I finally finished last night, and that's why my videos are just now starting to come out. But, yeah, so episode 126, and this fight was, this episode was the fight between Miram and Netero, alright? And that's mostly what the episode was, action. Of course, being Hunter x Hunter, there was obviously good narration throughout, good dialogue throughout. One of the things that was mentioned was that Miram actually started to admire Netero. Alright, so that was that was surprising. There were a couple feelings that Miram got that were surprising. The admiration towards Netero and Zeno too, actually, because Zeno was in that picture that they showed. But also fear. He actually began to fear Netero at the end. That really surprised me. That I really did not see that coming at all. The Ant King himself being afraid of a human. That was possibly the most shocking part of the entire episode. Right, more so than the ending, because the ending, I kind of called it last week. I said he was getting ready for some like Reaper Death Seal type of attack, where he was going to sacrifice himself in order to take out Miram. And that's kind of what he did. It's just that instead of being a Reaper Death Seal, it was more like a Donzo, destroy myself when my heart stops and then take you out with me type of thing. That's exactly what it was, actually. Like, I need to go back and check when it's either, because I can't, it's either this was like Donzo or Donzo was like this. I know people, because I've mentioned this before, but people always say that apparently Masashi Kishimoto and Togashi are good friends. So, and I'm pretty sure Togashi was an inspiration to Masashi Kishimoto, because, you know, he named the nine-tailed fox after Kurama, you know. So when he's inspired by someone, when he looks up to someone, he usually tries to reflect part of his series through tries to reflect them in a part of his series. So I can't. So if depending on when these chapters came out, because you know all the hiatuses and stuff, you know, I don't know if this came out after Donzo and Sasuke fought, or if it came out before then, but it doesn't really matter. I'm getting off on a tangent now. The point is that it was like Donzo. That's the point. Except it was cooler than Donzo, because no one gives a crap about Donzo, because Donzo sucks. He's not a bad character. He's just such a good villain that you can't help but hate him. Even people like me who love good villains, I can't stand Donzo because he's, oh my god. Okay. Hunter. All right, fight between Miram and Netero. All right, I'm gonna be on topic for the rest of the review. I swear, I'm gonna be on topic. Okay, so the fight between them, Netero, not Netero, Miram, he was observing Netero and his attacks because he learned that through observation that each of the 100 hands, they have a set pattern that they move to. So, you know, some will slap, some will thrust, some will like back slap, like backhand, you know, so, some will just slam down, you know, so they each have a different pattern they each have a different pattern, and by memorizing that pattern, he can decide how he's going to attack next, because Netero doesn't want to show all of his attacks. However, if Miram is able to attack from a position where those previous arms cannot get to because the patterns that they move in will not hit him, then Netero will be forced to reveal a new attack that does actually hit him from that position. So Miram's plan is to pretty much make Netero reveal all of the attacks he can do. That way he can remember all the patterns, predict which one is going to come at what point, and be able to actually attack Netero and get through his defenses. Okay, so that's some major brain power there. That's some like Tatsuya Shiba crap right there. That's impressive. It's impressive, and even that he says it's still practically impossible, but because Netero has, it's just like a natural human thing to be biased towards and against different things, and Netero is no different. He's biased towards and against different movements, so there will be some hands he uses more often than others, and some he just doesn't use nearly as often as others. So he is able to factor that into his predictions and accurately predict, after a decent amount of back and forth, how Netero is going to attack, and that allows him to get in a couple hits. The first one is when he cut off Netero's leg. All right, cut off his leg, and then Netero just like slapped it, and then it just closed up. The blood just stopped. Right, yeah, that was crazy. Uh, and then he's like, "Yo, you think I'm done? I'm not done." Boom, put his hands back together, and he was back to fighting. All right, a 1-minute fight. Dragon Ball Z like fight with the auras everywhere. They were flying around. That was awesome. And yeah, it was just awesome. I love Madhouse so much. They're so good. They're so good at just animating things. They're just too awesome, right? But yeah, that 1-minute fights happened. There were 1,000 punches that happened during that 1-minute fight as well. However, all of those punches just allowed Miram to become more confident in his conclusion about what moves Miram is biased towards and biased against. So he's able to hit him again more easily this time, and cut his arm off. And he was like, he knew for sure he was going to get it, because as soon as he cut the arm off, he landed on the ground, sat down, looked at him, and said, "Okay, now you tell me what my name is, all right? Because you only got one hand now, so you can't put your hands together. If you can't put your hands together, you can't attack me, all right? So just tell me what my name is now." But Netero says, "Yo, you think I can only pray with one hand?" Then he used zero hand, yo. Zero hand, where the Guan Yin, Bodhisattva, whatever, blah blah blah. All right, that thing appears behind the enemy instead of behind him. It appears behind the enemy, then embraces them. Boom. And Kahlua, he could feel that, he could sense that from a distance. He was all the way out there. He felt that bloodlust. He was like, "Oh man, I can't keep going this way. I need to turn around." And then he left. All right. And then while the two of the hands were grabbing on the mirror, it shot like a hyper beam down on top of him. All right. Like, that was crazy. It was like all of Netero's aura, or at least most of it, most of his aura. Because after it finishes, you see Netero. Did I say mirror? It doesn't matter. All right. Netero used pretty much all of his aura, and by the time the attack ended, he aged so much. Like, it was like, yo, the body mass just decreased. It was smaller, more wrinkly, just older. He aged quite a bit just because of that attack. And unlike the previous attacks, this one actually did damage Miram. Alright, like he was walking up, you could see all these like bruises and stuff. Like I was surprised. I mean, it was a huge attack, but I just got so it's obvious it would at least do that much. But I just gotten so used to Miram not being hurt by Netero's attacks that it surprised me for a brief second. But at this point, it was pretty clear, like, you know, Netero, he can't beat Miram. Alright, so Miram's pretty much telling him this, telling him about how he's the king of the Chimera ants and how they've evolved to a point where they're above humans and stuff like this. And he says that because of Netero, he has actually gained some respect for humans, so he will allow them to survive, and he'll reevaluate how they're considered food and everything like that. So he tells him, like, your fight was not invalid. It actually meant something. But Netero says, "Hey, Miram, all right." And he actually calls him Miram. He tells him his name at this point. All right, and he had this dangerous aura appearing around him. That's the point where Miram actually got afraid, or where he felt that fear, right? And he tells Miram, you know, humans, you can't underestimate our infinite potential for evolution. When it comes to evolution, it's a mystery. There you go. There we go. I had to do the same reference in my Brynhilde review, but I had to do it again. All right, because it was just asking for it. Okay, but also, like I said, my Brynhilde reference, then you're awesome. All right, then you're awesome. All right, but evolution is a mystery. So there's still you can't underestimate the power of evolution and the ability of humans to evolve to the point where they might even become superior to chimera ants. All right. So, and Miriam's listening to this, so that's probably going to affect the way Miriam thinks as well. Um, but we'll just have to wait and see, because what happens after this is he does the Donzo thing. He stops his heart, and as soon as his heart stops beating, then it activates Miniature Rose, the bomb that was inside of him. All right, and it explodes, and Miriam can't escape the blast. Like, he was looking afraid, like, oh man, I can't get away from this. So he's um, whether he's, I mean, I'm just gonna assume he's not dead. I'm just gonna assume he's not dead. Because first of all, it's anime. All right, you can't assume someone's dead unless you see the corpse. The only reason I'm even saying that Netero was dead is because his heart literally stopped. So yeah, but yeah, Miniature Rose. You can see the rose from the explosion. It was actually pretty legit. So I thought this episode was great. I thought it was great. All right, it really was. It gets a 9 out of 10 for me. All right. The fight itself was awesome. Plus, you add in the parts with like the dialogue and the narration and all that. It's Miriam finally, the feelings that Miriam felt, which you wouldn't expect him to feel. Uh, the evolution stuff, evolution is a mystery. Um, yeah, it was a great episode, I think. If anything, I might even be underrating it. Um, but yeah, I'll just stick with the 9 out of 10. And the preview for next week, we saw Poof looking like pretty messed up, and Komugi waking up, and Gon standing up. So it looks like things are going to be interesting next week as well. But yeah, and that's it for this video, guys. Episode gets a 9 out of 10. Rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.